Goddess of the sun brings you life daily. Best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man. Become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get on mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so expound. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get on mystical formation. Turn on the wall.
Yo, what's going on, governors? Welcome back to Osiris League Season 10. These are our semifinal rounds. I am your host, Jerry Dan Gaming. Joined with me tonight is my good buddy and former Osiris League champion, Cortex. Cortex, happy to be casting alongside a veteran such as yourself. How we doing?
Yo, welcome to the stream, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Dan. And yeah, we're gonna have a good cast today.
Absolutely, yeah. Today we have the former kingdom of Cortex. So it's a little bit confusing. I'm so happy we're able to number one, I'm casting with Cortex, but two, we were able to chat a little bit before this. So today we have Beer from Kingdom 3376, and then we have SBER or S-Beer from Kingdom 1960. Today's winner will go on to face IN from Kingdom 1606 or 489 from Kingdom 2489 in a best of three finals showdown. Loser goes home. So yeah, we were talking a little bit about it before stream. I'll pass it on to the former champion from 960 himself. Give us a little bit of rundown on these teams, because my notes got obliterated because of a little bit of how much of a mix up this one is here.
Yes, so basically there is SBER and there's Beer. And many people will remember Beer from the previous OL season as well as the previous Grand Prix season. They were one of the strongest, if not the strongest, international team. And basically, most of their main players migrated to 1960 to play Osiris League. So that is the SBER shell. And I actually don't really know what is left in the Beer Alliance. Clearly, they're still a good team as they made it to the top 4. But from what I know, the main actual Beer team is now in 1960.
Okay, so the bets are a little skewed here, so they may have caught some people off guard, because we do have SBER from 960 as the underdogs, with Beer being the favorites. So S-Beer looking to kind of put the mantle back onto the Kingdom of 960 here. And I think today is going to be a little bit of an interesting showdown, because both of these teams have kind of waltzed their way into the semifinals in a way. All of their margins of victory have come at greater than 10K points, which, if you know anything about ARC and Osiris League, like you're kind of walking away with those victories here. With both teams kind of relatively being unchallenged going into this, what's some things that we can probably expect to look for in the semifinal round?
So I think we should have a lookout for Obelisk plays. Teleport Arc plays, maybe, because I think this is going to be a very sort of explosive game where I think the Beer side, because also if we look at the power of the two teams, right? No, put aside all of the stuff that I know about, let's say the 1960 team or the Beer team, they have a power advantage in the SBER squad and an account strength advantage. So I think that Beer really needs to make a play, like an Arc play, an Obelisk play, in order to try to swing the advantage into their favor. Because from what I know tactically, the SBER team are probably the stronger squad today.
Okay, so looking for a little bit of surprise tactics. And I believe, if I pull up all my notes here too, I do believe that Beer, Beer, throughout these playoff runs, has not been running master strategy on their bar, and maybe that was to potentially conceal some strategy going into the semifinal rounds. It is something that I think, some seasoned teams, you're going to want to try and take advantage of. If you know you're going to be winning games, you kind of don't want to show your full skill bars or the actual skill bars that you're going to be using. Meanwhile, SBR from 960 does hold master strategy on their skill bar quite often. So definitely going to be some interesting tactics to look out for. Another thing that I'm also looking at as well is both teams running energetic, and coming off of just playing in this Osiris League and playing a lot of stocking up, that there's a ton of power in stocking up. So I am a little surprised that some teams are kind of sticking with a little bit more of the safe play and energetic. We do have about 10 seconds until we head into this match. Cortex, who do you got winning in today's semifinal match?
I think SBR will. That's who I have. I think they will win the game unless BR is able to pull off something crazy. I think they have to, like I said, make an Obelisk play, make a crazy Arc play in order to have a strong chance of winning the game.
All right, there you have it from the former champ himself as we head into the match. So we have Beer on the top side in blue. Remember, this is the non-1960 Beer, the non-Grand Prix participating Beer. I'm going to get myself mixed up in this so often, I feel like, as they start to pour it in. And then on the bottom side in red, we have beer. We'll call them S beer for clarity's sake. SBER is a little bit of a mouthful. Any names you notice here as they're starting to port in Cortex?
So I do notice on the actual beer side, the two of the players in the front, Valafar as well as Dizzy, were actually a part of the beer Grand Prix team in the most recent Grand Prix. So there are still remnants of the original beer team in the beer alliance, but I think the majority of them are on the SBER side right now.
Okay.
And you can also see 8Cbo9 on the SBER side. He's on the second row there. Mm-hmm. He is a legend of Osiris League. He won the Grand Prix back in the day with 489.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you see the skin there.
He's, yeah, 2489, 2023. So he's won a bunch of stuff. He's one of, I would say, one of the GOATs probably when it comes to Osiris League as an individual player and the teams that he's been a part of.
All right, so we have a little bit of those remnants as Cortex was talking about. So there is going to be some strategic prowess coming from the beer side. It is going to maybe come down to a little bit of an account difference here, which, as we were kind of touching on in our kind of pre-match warm-up, is unlike Grand Prix, account difference is huge in Osiris League. I can speak to this myself, just having played against 93T last week in our quarterfinal match. So we could be looking at a little bit of this of the same here when it comes to this match, and hopefully there isn't that much of an account difference, but I will say there is a little bit more Zenith skins on this S-Beer side than what we were seeing initially at first from the beer side over here. Yeah, a lot of the KVK shop skins on the beer side, so I think that kind of speaks to the account difference that we could potentially see here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm also noticing some familiar old 1960 names as well on the SBER side. So there are still a few players left from the 1960 team that I used to play with. So it's a bit of a mix-up, I think, on the SBER side of 1960 as well as beer players.
Yeah, I am noticing a couple names here as well. Showtech was one that sticks out to me, just because I like that.
Showtech, Mammer, Zhao, Wells, Jokel. There's a few.
All right.
That I can notice off the bats.
And here we go. Gates are open. The match is underway. Both teams leading with that sneaky tactics. trying to foresee into the future. Energetic. They're opening up with. Kind of speaking to what Cortex was saying, we might be seeing today is a little bit of maybe a sneaky tactics play, perhaps a master strategist on these opening obelisks. We do have a little bit of a late porter coming in from the beer side. It does look like S Beer in red has everyone ready and on time. I think Beer is still playing a little bit of a man down here, which isn't great. There's the last player to finally port in. So both teams at full strength. And it's going to be a little bit till we can kind of see these opening moves here. Cortex, coming off of a recent Osiris League run myself, what are your thoughts on opening plays when it comes to overloading a specific side? I think we saw a little bit of it in Grand Prix, some of the Chinese teams utilizing it. And what I mean by that to the chat is, you know, it's usually 15 versus 15 on a side, but I think there's been a little bit of a shift in metas at times where you'll send maybe 18 players or 19 players to a side on the opening to assert a little bit of the dominance. Any thought process on opening plays like that can be a little bit more tricky to pick up?
Yes, so for instance, like you said, it's usually a 15 versus 15, but you can create a man advantage on one side if you wish. Now, typically in Arc, there is a side that's considered a weak side and a strong side. Now, your weak side is where your home Shrine of Life is, because that side, the Desert Altar, is closer to the enemy than it is on the opposite side of the map. So it's easier for the enemy to attack your altar on the side where you have your home Shrine of Life. So usually what you can do is you can overload the enemy weak side where they will already struggle to defend, and then you can try to hold your own with less players. Now, if it's like a mirror, so to speak, and the enemy team also does the same thing, then obviously you'll probably end up trading on both sides. But you can try to play with the man advantage on both sides. If you have faith, you can try to defend your own structure whilst sending the majority of your players to the other side to try to make an offensive play.
Do you think that's something that maybe Beer would perhaps try and implement, since, you know, they know that they're probably going against a little bit more of a coordinated team, and then especially when it comes into account difference. Do you think that that might be something that we can see from them?
Yeah, it could have been on the opening. Now looking at outside the gate, it looks pretty even to me. Just out the gate on the beer side of things, it looks like they have just about the same amount of marches going to each side. And also looking at the SBR side here, it does actually look like the SBR side maybe has a few more people on the top side of the map around their Shrine of War. There's a lot of red marches there than maybe on the bottom. But overall, looks like a pretty standard start, I would say, from both teams here.
Yeah, nothing tricky just yet. We do have the rallies continuing to march onto those obelisks. We actually see Espear here with a couple CCs looking, and a Belisarius going to look to potentially disrupt the teleport spots for Beer in the blue, and Beer are able to sniff it out a little bit. We see 1, 2, 3 players now starting to march back, and I think they're going to want to try and take care of this quickly because, oh, and we have a sneaky tactics play coming in on the top side. So whereas Cortex called it, we are going to see some obelisk plays coming, and Beer needs to be prepared here. Those marches are still concealed, I believe. Are they?
Oh, they exposed them with Desert Storm. So it's interesting, actually, what Beer is, or do they still have? I'm pretty sure they got exposed. I think I see only one invisible march left on the Beer side, but it is very interesting. This is exactly what we did to Beer in 60 GT in the last Grand Prix. Exactly the same play. We used sneaky tactics on the exact same spots, and we marched our way to their obelisk. And basically, I can tell you what they were trying to do here. Now, I don't think it's going to necessarily work, because they got exposed by the Desert Storm skill. They were trying to stay invisible and then block the teleports, and they're also too late on top of it. As you can see, SBR are already teleported in, so not only are they too late, but what they were trying to do is basically be invisible with sneaky tactics and then block off all the teleport spots for SBR and then take the obelisk. That's the same thing we did to them in the last Grand Prix, so quite a funny play there that they tried to pull it on their own people, but doesn't seem to have worked out here. They were too late, and they're already teleported in here.
Yeah, now that, I mean, it's kind of an even swing too. It's not too detrimental. Both teams ending up using skill points to kind of counteract one another. So we should look at a relatively even side of things when it goes into this first mid-arc rotation. And we see here on the bottom side that Espear did a pretty good job getting into their Desert Altar. Their Murder Ball was kind of cleared out here by Beer, and they have a pretty good attack going onto this Desert Altar. They are able to capture it. Now, are they going to be able to hold it is the question. 3 altars in hand for Espear currently. This was a very nice swing for Beer here. I think that's something that they really needed to do. Looks like they're already trying to get back that sky altar of theirs. Let's go up onto the top side and see how things are going on their Desert Altar. And looking like a pretty decent attack and attempt to get it back, but I think this QSH and Garrison is going to be able to stave this off a little bit. This is going to be a little bit funky when it comes into mid-arc rotations, although I will say that in the earlier years, Cortex, when it seemed like, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, you had to start going mid. That time has definitely shrunk a little bit. It feels like you can leave for mid around 4 to 3 minutes and you're still quite okay. So it looks like Beer still has about a minute and a half here to get their Desert Altar back. But is that something that you've noticed as well, is that that mid-arc rotation can happen a little bit later?
Yeah, I feel like before the meta was more heavily centered around having positioning on the arc, whereas now it feels like teams are more okay with sort of just coming in just before it spawns and just throwing it down, and rather spending more time on doing structure plays rather than just sitting in mid, because usually that's what you end up doing when you go, let's say, 5 minutes early, right? You end up sitting there for a minute or two, whereas you could probably be spending that time on something more useful, right? Which is what a lot of teams have figured out here.
Yeah, I think that's like one key for any aspiring ARC team, Osiris League aspirations is that you always want to be as productive as you can with your time, whether that is as a team as a whole or from the micro, from even controlling your marches, right? If you have a march camping for a minute or two, that's like the most detrimental thing that you can do for your team. So that kind of plays into that thought process there, where you always want to kind of be spending time being productive. As we see Beer able to get their Desert Altar back, 4.5 minutes until mid-arc rotations. Kind of zoom out here, get a little bit of a view of the map. 40 seconds until first occupations on this bottom side Desert Altar. It looks like Beer should have enough juice to take this thing back. That David is holding on. I think they are definitely going to flip this back, avoid the first occupation points going towards Beer.
But on the left side, is that first occupation on that SBR Skelter, or have they already gotten that? Oh, that was first occupation.
Yeah, I believe that was first occupation there. Yeah, interesting.
So SBR pulling ahead here with a few first occupation advantages just out the gates.
Yeah, those are decent swings. I mean, like we saw in the IN in 2563 match that was like a 400 point difference. So that literally comes down to a first occupation. So those are very valuable despite the, quote unquote low point difference. I'm curious as to oh hello. There we go. Okay, I was like, I was questioning why they were able to let the Sky Altar get first occupied. Beer has taken the obelisk on the top side against Beer. That is very, very troublesome.
Indeed, very, very troublesome for the side of Beer. And
how did they let that happen? I mean, we saw the rally there, we saw the couple CCs, but Beer was already teleported in. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure how exactly they let that happen. Maybe they didn't notice it, just like we didn't notice it until it was actually captured. But or maybe they simply sent field over there. I'm not sure. We didn't see as the capture happened, but they do have control of the obelisk and they have teleported in. That is a very, very tough spot for the side of Beer to be in as Sober. I think we could call them Sober.
Yeah.
Rather than SBR. Sober has teleported in here. This is looking very, very dark for the side of Beer here.
Yeah, a little bit of a blunder there, because again, we saw the opening rallies, we saw that there was a couple CCs there, but it's something where like it's almost a very standard arc play. I mean, aside from like a couple extra CCs, but like usually those obelisk rallies are like people will let them connect. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this footage and see how it happens. Chat, if you guys know, if you're watching along as well, but that you have to chalk that up to a blunder for Beer, because they have just made this match a million times harder for themselves. Still fighting to get this obelisk back, and this does not look good, and they're already down a little over 3,000 points. So
this is hard, man.
In a situation like this, Cortex, like what do you do to kind of keep yourself, in the game at this point?
You will always try at the start, like they're doing, to get control of the obelisk again. But again, like we said earlier, the account strength of Sober is stronger than Beer. They have more power. And if this was Grand Prix, you could maybe argue more for, okay, maybe they can try to get their cities out of there or whatever. But given that the power of the Sober players are higher than Beer, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do anything about this. And they will most likely have to capitulate this side of the map. And maybe the only thing they can do as a last-ditch effort to save the game is to try to maybe overload on the other side of the map and take the enemy obelisk on the other side of the map and basically mirror the map and switch it around. But I think this is a very, very tough spot for Beer to be in here. And this was a game-winning play by Sober.
Yeah, a little unfortunate here, as it was looking like things were relatively like kind of like even-ish, I would say. Like the opening murder balls looked great from Beer, and we were kind of talking about account difference. you know, they made a good attempt here on this desert altar. Almost had first occupation. You know, just a little bit unfortunate here, and a lack of a call out from Beer to kind of sniff out that obelisk play. Arc has spawned, so I think one of the steps to Beer really getting back into this thing is they need to get this arc, like 100,000,000%. Like if they don't get this arc, then it might be all but over for them, because then Sober can simply just kind of sit on the arc and milk the clock out. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very tough position here for Beer to be in up against Sober here, because as you see as well on the map, all the altars are red. They have teleports in on their obelisk. There's constant fighting. The players at the top left, Beer obelisk, can't really do anything or get out of their series even, because they're just getting whacked as they try to get out. So this is a very, very tough situation. As you say, they really have to try to get every single arc and not give up, but it's really a big blunder to let a late obelisk capture play like that happen without even using any skills. Let's not forget to mention. They did not have any sneaky tactics, they did not have any master strategy. They simply just rallied or walked up and just took it quite late into the game. It wasn't at the opening, it was quite late into the game where this happened. This is just really a big blunder that they should have avoided, and now they've put themselves in a really tough spot here.
Yeah, definitely an uphill mountain, I would say, to climb up here to stay in this match. They are able to capture the arc, and it looks like they have a pretty healthy escort along with that. Since you have to score this arc here, right? Like, you can't hold it. You have to start cashing these arcs as soon as possible.
Yeah, the building game, to put it lightly, is cooked. You have to get every single arc. It is, and you have to get many arcs. You have to deliver them fast, and you have to get the new one going quickly. But it's also going to be tough for them to keep contesting the arcs. So clearly here, Sober gave this first arc, I would say. You can see they have marches all over the buildings, and they even cast no mark to score even more points from the buildings. So even with them capturing this arc, they're still really far behind in points. And it's going to be very tough for them to have field control anywhere near buildings, because of the fact that their obelisk on the top left side is gone. So they're essentially fighting half a map. It's a very difficult spot for them to be in right now. And I don't really see, unless a miracle happens, how they're going to be able to make their way back into this game.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, we kind of talked about account strength a little bit here too, and like, you know, there's going to be a point where Sober will probably start to try and zero out some of these cities.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't see power anymore. It seems like after the update has been made to when you click on the Arc of Osiris cities. So we can't really see how much power all these players are, but just from looking at the overall team power, the Sober players are a lot higher power in general. So yeah, this will be tough to sustain for the Beer players here.
Hello?
Hello?
Uh-oh. We are having technical difficulties, chat. Cortex needs to yap until I can hear him.
Hello? 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 Hello, hello, hello? Wait. Chat's saying they can hear me. Hello, chat. You can hear me. But Dan can't hear me? I don't know what's going on. We're having some technical difficulties. Anyway, until... I don't know what happened with Dan. I can't... Unless he's not speaking, I can't hear him right now.
Yeah, like I was saying... So you guys heard everything I said, but okay. So like I was saying, this is a very, very tough spot for here to be. As Sober has taken control of this
game pretty heavily. They have higher power accounts, they have stronger accounts, they have more troops to play around with. And especially this type of fighting that's happening around the Beer obelisk in the top left is very, very hard to sustain, because it's very, very intense fighting. It's constantly in and out of cities, and marches being sad-faced, stuffing the obelisk being swarmed. you will run out of troops quickly against stronger players doing this. Can you still not hear me? Well. He's in a can. I'm underwater now. Wait, what? Hello? Wait, can you guys still hear me? Well, guys, it's this kind of stream. We're having some technical difficulties here. Can you still hear me? Cause, okay, because you can. Okay, I'm still here. Dan disconnected from the call for a second, and Dan's actually the one hosting the stream. So I think you guys didn't hear me for a while. I guess we're back. I'm not the one actually hosting the stream. I'm on a call with Dan, and Dan disconnected. So I thought you guys maybe couldn't hear me, but I guess you can hear me. Can you still hear me? Hello? Okay. Dan disconnects from the call every now and then. I think there's some technical difficulties going on. Anyway, whilst I'm on the call with Dan, basically, I think my audio is going through him to the stream, so you guys can hear me through him. But I'll try to do my best whilst you guys can still hear me. The Sober Obelisk, or the Beer Obelisk, I guess, the original Beer Obelisk in the top left, is still under contention. And it does not look like there's any chance for the Beer players to be able to get the Sober players out of there. An obelisk on another part of the map. I think this will be a very, very difficult game for the side of Beer to get back into. And this is kind of what we expected going into the game as well. Sober, the Sober team is the original Beer team with the main players, most of the main players. And Beer is still a good team, but it's basically the remnants of what was the original Beer team. So it's no surprise really that the new Sober team with all the main players, or well, most of the main players, are the stronger team in this battle here. And it's about what we expected, I think, going into the game. Although looking at the bets... Hello? Are you back there? No, okay. I still cannot hear that.
I'm back.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
we're here.
Boy. This is exactly what I was talking about in the pre-match. Oh, thank you for yapping on. What are we up to? Sorry about that, chat. This is honestly like the worst nightmare of casting these matches. Super grateful to be able to get the opportunity to do this, but man, when these situations happen, like my heart just sinks.
It's all right. We had some technical difficulties here, but I think they were able to hear me whilst you were disconnected because you were on the call with me, and I think my audio was still being put through.
Yes. Yeah.
I was trying to do my best whilst you're gone. But we're back. Basically, not much has changed in the game. The obelisk is still under contention. Sober has it right now. The buildings are still mostly under the control of Sober as well, with now a 7,000 point deficit after capturing the Ark. There is another Ark spawning in 2 minutes, but Sober has a 662 point per minute gain to a 200 point per minute gain on the side of Beer. So I think even with Arcs, it's going to be very, very tough. And like we said also earlier, the side of Sober have stronger accounts, higher power. Mm-hmm. It's very, very draining to fight like this on top of your obelisk. Oh, sneaky tactics. Sneaky tactics.
Is it on the mountain corner?
What are they up to? Yes, on the mountain corner on the top right of the Arc. I don't know what they're going to try to do with the sneaky tactics, but They are positioned around the arc. I'm guessing they're gonna try to take the arc with it because of their positioning, or maybe they're gonna try to do something else. I'm not sure.
I think it
But
has
they
to
are
be.
sniffed out here by the side of Sober.
Yeah.
The Sober marches are hunting them down, and they're gonna get spotted here by AoE damage. This is not looking good for the side of Beer.
Yeah, I mean, really doing like everything that they can, right? But again, it's just when you have those obelisks, but that's why they're, you know, so many people will try and go for them. Like, you need to plan for these obelisk plays, and this was honestly something that just, it, you know, not to throw shade, could have just been avoided. Like, this is something that, this is one of those plays that you don't really practice for. It's just one of those things that you kind of know how to do. But this shows the strength on why obelisk plays need to be practiced. You need to know the scenarios that can come at you, because if you lose your obelisk early on, it is really difficult. I think the only team that I think I've seen manage, I think this was in Grand Prix perhaps, 93T against one of the Chinese teams, and they were able to, I think, play on, and I couldn't tell you or not if they won, but they were able to, you know, make it a reasonable match. But it just makes so many things so much harder for the rest of the match, honestly.
Yeah, it's a tough place now for Beer to be in. I'm gonna go ahead and have a look at the other game that's going on right now to see if maybe that's a little bit closer, because I think this game is all but over here between... Nope, the other game is even more one-sided.
A little bit of a wash, yeah. Well, I think it's like maybe a good opportunity to, I mean, I've always felt like the openings in the early game of an Osiris League or an Arc match are so important, right? If you blunder those, it really kind of sets you back. And I think you mentioned that you were on a team that was able to kind of like stay composed and come back even though you had a down deficit. I wonder if there's anything that we can, you know, look to add on to Arc or Osiris League, which will help a team kind of get back into it a little bit here, because those 15 minutes are so crucial. And if you miss those 15 minutes, it's you kind of set yourself up for failure throughout the match. So I'm not sure what could be implemented. Maybe a little bit faster skill regeneration. You know, I think that was probably a little bit of the aspect of why Altars of Anubis were kind of brought in here too. But yeah, I think I would like to see something tweaked a little bit that can help some teams kind of come back a little bit earlier. Although I don't know if there's really much coming back from losing an obelisk. I just think that's too big of a blow.
Yeah, it's a very tough spot to be in, and you really need to either be able to fight them off your obelisk, not let them TP in. I mean, it's really just a game-losing blunder to make that late into the game. And even if it happens at the opening, obviously, the second they get a significant amount of players teleported onto your obelisk, it's already a very tough spot to be in. Unless you can swap for their obelisk on the other side of the map, or try to switch the map in some sort of way, it's very, very tough. So the fact that they allowed that to happen and weren't able to stop that already put them in a really tough spot for the entirety of the game.
Yeah, and it's like, even if you are able to kind of like flip-flop the map and take another obelisk, like now all that practice that you've put in, right? Cortex can speak to this, doing 117 practice, was it, for for Grand Prix?
Yeah, we practiced a lot.
Some of these teams put in a lot of practice, and even if you are able to make a flip like that, like everything's like kind of busted and backwards in your mind now. So it's still even so difficult, even if you are able to enact the same play and kind of mirror the map. You're kind of playing backwards a little bit. So yeah, it's just something that these teams, like you need to be prepared for the obelisk plays, because you can just see how strong that they can truly be here.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, they're
not sure what the path back into the game here is. We had a very tough game ourselves in the last Osiris League when we ended up winning with 60 MX in our second game against OWR in the final, where we lost every single building on first occupation. We were down 10,000 points at the start of the game, but we managed to come back into the game. But again, it's not as bad as what happened here, losing an obelisk and having the almost half the entire enemy team teleport onto it is catastrophic and game losing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like as long as you have your positionings right, I think like most times like you can kind of see a way back into it, right? Because if you fall behind on points, you're not doing great in occupation. You can always go in and start, you know, trying to cap as many arcs as you can, and we've seen plenty of teams do that. Like as you mentioned, you kind of have firsthand experience with that, or even with the addition of no mark now. Like no mark, if you get a 4 ultra swing and you pop no mark, like you're I don't know the exact math behind this, but you could really kind of pour on the points that will make it equivalent to you dumping a bunch of arcs. But the key is that you need your positioning, and it even goes to show that like some teams will even just try and snipe the obelisk in the beginning simply to take away some teleports and get their team up and teleported a little bit quicker. So yeah, I think Beer is going to have to learn or is learning a very hard lesson from this, and I guarantee you in the future they won't make this mistake again.
Yeah, we can see some of the cities as well here on the side of Beer being swarmed down by the Sober players.
Oh yeah, here it comes.
It's one teleported out. It's not an easy spot to be in when you lose your obelisk like this. It's kind of the equivalent of deleting the wrong fortress in the middle of a Kingsland fight, and now all of your territory is inactive.
Yeah.
And your players are getting swarmed. You can't teleport back in. It's kind of the equivalent of that, at least of significance to the game.
Yeah.
It is basically like deleting the wrong fortress would be KVK losing. Or losing your obelisk is kind of Arc losing when it comes to the game of Arc of Osiris.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very good kind of contrast there or similarity to the situations. I think what we're gonna do here, chat, is we're gonna try and pull this over to the other match real quick. So Cortex, I will be putting us back into the booth real quick. Give you a little bit of a heads up. And let's get out of here. And thank you, chat, for sticking around with us. This is our semifinal round, so we are going to be looking to see Beer in the finals against the winner against 1606 and 2489. So that should be a pretty good match there, if I could find where we're going. Okay, so we're going to head over to the realm of Sobek. We're going to check out some of the newer teams here.
Yeah, the 908K versus WOD4 game is going on right now. It's about 19.5K to 16K right now. It's a bit closer than the Sober versus Beer game, so maybe we'll have an interesting game to watch over here.
As we pop into this, no mark getting popped for the red side in WDO4. And currently 3 altars in hand for the blue side for 908K. 7 minutes until Arc is going to spawn. Let's go ahead and take a look at this attack, and we're gonna have to adjust the mindset a little bit here with all the KVK2 commanders.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. This is amazing.
This is different.
There's Minamoto's, Pyrrhuses, Kusunokis, Baibars.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. There's no formations on any of the commanders. Oh, this is like the old days, man.
Yeah. This takes you back a little bit. There's a good old Charles Martel in Garrison. Let's see here. 20 seconds. I'm curious to see some of these battle reports on what these teams have been using. Let's see if we'll try and get one after this. I'm curious if it's still like kind of like the same meta. I mean, this is a little bit of like the forgotten realm when it comes to Osiris League play, just because it's so new, and obviously everyone wants to see kind of like the end game content. But you know, your standards like the Charles YSG Garrisons, and then even in you know, from what I've been seeing from some of the restart projects, some of these like gold key commanders are actually making some pretty good relevance going into KVK season 2.
Yeah, it's we have to adjust our mind a bit, like you said, because again, this is not going to be the same level of gameplay nor the same commanders or what we're used to seeing. You're also more limited. The marches are slower. The game in general is moving a lot slower than what we're used to seeing these days.
100%.
This is kind of almost bringing me back to the KVK 3 we played together in your Kingdom 2581.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
That was a good time. This kind of be taking me back a bit, but yeah, it does look like 908k. They were also the favorite in the bets. They are in the lead here by about 3,000 points, but they are down about 70 points per minute here. And also, the side of WOD4 have taken the Anubis twice, so they have 2 Anubis rewards here, as we can see when clicking on the scoreboard, which are giving them 15% more team points for 240 seconds on both of those captures that they've gotten. Yeah, the Anubis also... How do you feel? I haven't played Osiris League myself in this season, and as someone that played in this Osiris League season with Anubis, how do you feel that changed the meta and the way the game is played?
You know, I think there's even... You know, playing it through a whole season, I think there's still more to unlock with it. You know, even in the later rounds, you know, we were seeing teams optimize capturing the Anubis to maximize the amount of points that they were getting for cashing in arcs, for gathering. So I think we're going to see some really cool things, you know, as time goes on with Anubis. And I will say, like, it adds a nice wrinkle into the gameplay, because I think for so long, right, it was just like, go get the altars, you know, you'll take a shrine here and there when you can, and obviously you have your mid rotations, but you know, it makes it a little bit more interesting. From things that I've seen is, like, you'll usually have your outside lanes kind of go and participate in your altar of Anubis, while your inside lanes will then kind of shift in a little bit and sending a couple players there. I mean, those extra 15% points like really start to add up. So it's something that I think teams are gonna, if they weren't having a great importance on it, I think they're going to start having it. And then, not to mention, like, the last Anubis that spawns in the match, like, you can get, essentially, you get a 600-second cooldown for all your skills. So, like, you can essentially, if you really wanted to, you could play Master Strategist like 3 times. You can play to the death like 3 times, depending on how fast you're killing those Anubises. So there's definitely a lot more to unlock, and I do like the change that it kind of like just kind of shifts up the meta a little bit, and it's that one extra thing that teams have to worry about.
Yeah, a couple more map objectives, right? Rather than just, let's say, the buildings and the arc was like the one main map objective, so to speak, in the center of the map. Now there are these 2 things off to the side that are giving you meaningful advantages. And as you mentioned also, you can kind of maybe get it for free almost sometimes if you can maybe pull the enemy over to somewhere else, or if they're not paying much attention to it, which can really buy you a big advantage if you can commit just a few marches and you're able to capture the big buff that it gives you, right?
Absolutely. And I think the only change I would like to see is, I think I may have seen a screenshot somewhere, but like, I think like, there is also a little bit of a strategy to this too, is like where you can go in and just kind of one tap and get last hit on the boss. So, not too sure how I feel about that one, but I would say it would be quite frustrating if you're constantly dealing 99% of the damage to the boss, and then a random CC comes in, taps it, and then you get the buffs for it. So more to come on that, though. As we have our I guess second mid fight here, to the death cast by 908k, and it did look like WDO4 in red had a little bit of that position where 908k was kind of a little bit slow marching in here. 1.5 minutes until arc spawns. I don't know if any skills used. No skills used on the red side just yet. And there is still one skill that is yet to be seen. They did play Master Strategy. I'm assuming that's the Obelisk play that people were talking about in the beginning. What could that last skill be? They use
maybe
Time
to
Warp
the death.
already.
They haven't casted to the death yet.
Maybe saving the to the death for the
It would
third
be a
arc.
very expensive skill bar to have, though, with Master Strategy, to the death, and no mark, as well as Time Warp. That is a lot of six cost skills on the same skill bar there.
Yeah, is it
But
even?
maybe, does look like they are giving the arc here, and rather going for a building play. You can see the red side here of WOD4 have all 4 altars under their control, and they're currently 816 points per minute to the 300 points per minute of 908k. They also got the third capture here on the Anubis, which is giving them another 15% more team points for 240 seconds, and also 20% march speed for 300 seconds. So it looks like they're more going for the building strategy here, and that 908k are getting the arcs.
Yeah, and it does look like WDO4 is also going to try and make a play down here for another altar of Anubis to take away those buffs from 908k. And this is kind of the tale of two takes that you usually see with Osiris League teams. Is one is going to be a little bit more dedicated to capturing the middles, and then the other one's going to be a little bit more building oriented. And I will say here, even just these obelisk takes here can be quite tricky to manage, because you do want to get your obelisk takes back, and good job from these couple frontline players. But every time you're kind of giving up the obelisk and then kind of taking it back, and then the other enemy takes it back, like you're kind of playing a little bit of a fine line with like teleports. And we can see here that the red side in WDO4 has all of their teammates teleported up. Meanwhile, blue, with just 18 minutes left, still has 3 players. That's 15 marches that take a very long time to get back into the action. So just something to kind of keep an eye out there.
And I'm not sure if you noticed, Dan, but do you notice the city skin of the player that's next to the obelisk of 908k on the top right side of the map? The fancy karate player.
Oh, the Kraken skin.
That's a 500k skin in an early game. Oh well. That's probably why he's giving them so much trouble over here, because we can't see his power right now. But if I had to guess, that's a very, very high-powered player with probably all maxed out gear and all maxed out commanders. That's probably giving them a very, very hard time over here. So it does look like this obelisk play that they did make, and were able to get some of their big whales teleported in here on the side of 908k, has really paid off and is making the game really, really hard for the side of 908k.
Yeah, but doing a good job, like you said, a 4 altar swing, 988 points per minute, still rolling here. 908k hasn't been able to get that home desert altar back. They are trying to get their home sky altar back on this attack here, as we can see a Pierce in the the garrison. These commander combinations are, wow, it's like flashbacks. You can see doing some work here, still trying to chunk it down, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Now I'm curious to go check out all the other city skins. 500k before KVK2 or for KVK2 is indeed mental. It is indeed mental. Like that is.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them on that obelisk. There's also one on the side of 908k on the bottom.
That is some serious spending here for a very young account. Yeah, just the 2 in the match. Just the 2 Mega Krakens in the match, which is good. Each team has one. Each team has one. So a little bit of a fair play there on the account percentage. And this Pierce is still holding. And yeah, this is such a stark difference on the tempo that we're used to watching in kind of standard league play, right? Like the damage is less. The troops are moving a little bit slower. Like this altar, you know, would have been fully defended by now with another attack coming with another rally. So this is quite interesting to watch, and it kind of gives you a little bit better perspective of even just like the skill difference and planning difference that some of these players have to go through. $15 minutes left. 908k is holding the arc. Or they're not even, they're still walking the arc back, kind of talking about tempo.
Yeah, like you said, the march speeds are, these commanders are not moving very quickly.
But you would assume here, looks like he might not be going for the insta cash. With as down as they are, 4 altars still in hand. You have to cash this, I think, right? I think you have to cash this and go for your third arc.
It looks like due to the obelisk play, similar to what happened in the Sober versus Beer game, it's making it very, very difficult for them to deal with structures because they're just struggling even getting out of their cities because they're getting hit on the way, etc.
Yeah.
So it does seem like when you lose your obelisk like that and the enemy is able to teleport in, it does seem like you do have to kind of adjust your strategy to maybe go for more arcs, because the middle is still fair game, but going for your own buildings is more and more difficult the more teleports and the more marches they're able to have on your side of the map.
Yeah, and you can even look at it too as the middle is probably maybe even a little bit more in your favor, right? If you can run away from those accounts and those players that are harassing the troops around the obelisk, like the other team is going to be playing a couple marches down from what they're used to because the players are teleported up on an enemy obelisk. So you could kind of work that in your favor, but again, you have to kind of get away from those marches that are obviously going to be trying to harass anything coming out of those cities. And we can see a pretty decent murder ball fight here as NOAK is trying to get their home desert altar back. They were able to get back their home sky altar, so maybe that is just one of those keys that they're trying to accomplish here first, is trying to stabilize their buildings before cashing this arc. There is only 13 minutes left in the match, so they are going to have to make a decision quickly. This last arc is going to kind of decide this match for them, I believe.
Yeah, it's anyone's game, to be honest. Still 13 minutes left. There's a 3k point lead. As you mentioned, the building lead for the side of WOD4 is really massive, and you can also see there are 4 Anubis rewards to 0 when you click on the scoreboard. So definitely taking advantage of all the extra structure points that they are getting. But the arc could swing it, and especially I do see some gatherers around for the side of 908k. So if they are able to capture another arc and they're able to cash in some provisions, they still have a chance in this game, even though they are 4k points down and a lot of structure points per minute down.
Yeah, although maybe a little bit of a... I mean, they still would have to the death, I believe. So trading skills here, not in mid. A little bit of something that we don't see in the other realms. So 908k looking for the dust up, and then WOD4 responds with the desert storm on this desert altar, really trying to clear out those 908k troops. I know they'll still have to the death, but I don't know how I feel about unloading some skills when you know that you're going to have to go in for another mid, which is ultimately going to determine the game, Cortex.
Yeah, I think using points here is a big mistake, especially from the side of 908k. This is WOD4's game to lose at this point. Earlier in the game, when we were looking at it and just the score, 908k was heavily in the lead, but it seems like this obelisk play really did shift things around. And also, when we look at the bets, 908k were the heavy favorites going into this match, so we might have a really massive upset on our hands here.
Big upset indeed, and the obelisk plays. It's funny too. Like, I feel like even playing this season, we didn't run into many obelisk plays. We didn't think we would be able to pull one against T. And it's funny. I mean, you called it actually perfectly too. Like, semifinals, it's like do or die time. Like, you gotta throw your chips on the table, because I think that is a good position to take too, because if you make it into the finals, now you're in best 2 out of 3 situation. So like, it's not like you have a little bit more of that flexibility. I feel like the semifinals kind of act as a finals in a way, where you can kind of unload your best play to make it through, and then you have, you know, at least 2 opportunities to kind of like make something work in your favor once you get into the finals. So I think it was a really good call by you, and we've seen it in these past 2 matches where obelisk plays have really kind of came down to be the difference.
Yeah, I feel like you said, the semifinals are the way to throw out your crazy plays, especially if you think you're going up against a team that's on paper stronger than you, and maybe a better team than you on paper. most of the time have to try to pull a crazy play. Like Beer tried against Sober as well. They tried to do the obelisk play, didn't end up working out for them, and they had an obelisk play happen against themselves. But they tried, you know. You have to try stuff like this when you are up against the wall and up against a lot stronger team than what you are yourself. Because, like you said also in the final, it's a lot less stressful when you have 2 games, at least, to try to make something work and try to turn it into a best of 3, even if you end up losing 1 game. But in the semifinal, it is do or die. 1 game loss, you are out. There's no losers bracket, there's no coming back. Also now, we can see the time warp here cast by the side of 908k, which is quite early. They did cast no mark, and they are holding the arc. This is the last arc, Dan. I think this is a big mistake by the side of 908k. They're holding the arc, they didn't end up delivering it.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how slow these marches are going. With the time warp into the no mark, they need to get this arc. And especially knowing that master strategy is on the board for the other side, like you need everything at your disposal to go in and catch this arc. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe there's something that they see that we don't see, but yeah, I would think that, especially with the slower march times, you would have had to have cashed this arc and kind of been lining up for it.
I'm very surprised that they didn't capture the arc. There's no time now for a last arc. I feel like this was the only way back into the game for 908k was a final arc. I think going through structures now is very, very difficult because the red team here have a very, very solid control of the structures. And also they have a ton of teleports in on the 908k obelisk. I feel like this was a big mistake. I think they really could have won the game here if they did capture the arc and go for a last arc. Going for structures here against the team that's been holding the buildings for at least the majority of the time that we've been watching this game is a very, very interesting call to make and might end up costing them the game here towards the end.
Yeah, and I think even to that point too is that WOD4 used Desert Storm not too long ago. They should have time warp available for no mark as well. Let me see actually if I missed all that. Actually,
time warp.
They did use already used time warp. That's right.
So they, I assume, have no mark left. So now the points per minute are still 660 to 377 in the favor of WOD4. There is simply no way through buildings that they can come back anymore. This was a massive mistake. They could have won the game if they captured the arc and went for a last arc. They were winning the mid fight. And for WOD4 was fully focusing on the structures. I think they made a massive mistake here, Dan. I think they could have really captured the arc and tried to win the game here. But going for the buildings, I feel like was really the wrong choice.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, I was thinking like, you know, you kind of insta-cash that arc and, you know, start getting ready and start to pose some questions to WDO4, right? Since they've been in the driver's seat, like that's the one thing that you constantly want to be doing. I think especially in a game like this is you want to have the questions and you want to be posing them to your opponents, because when you can get someone off rhythm and you get them thinking and not reacting on instinct is when you're really going to kind of mess some things up. And not to mention, like, it's just like logistically point wise, like that's kind of what they needed to do. So maybe back-to-back blunders here. I don't know. Maybe they have the gathering gods on their side and they can pull out 6k 8k. We've seen it happen before in Grand Prix. I don't know if we can see it on this level, but who knows? Maybe.
The arc is getting chased now by the side of WOD4 at 908k's obelisk. I don't know why they're not capturing it at this point, even though they don't want another arc. Like, there's no time, just capture it. I don't know why they're running around with the arc at their obelisk. But it does look like a capture is going to come through here. Yes. Okay, so now with the capture, they're still down 2,000 points. They do still have point per minute from no mark, and they are gaining about 100 extra points per minute. Oh, even more now. 240 points per minute over the side of WOD4. This is anyone's game here, Dan. I think it would have been safer for them to go for a last arc, but it is still possible for them to win here with the extra points, and they have captured now 3 altars on the side of 908k.
3 altar swing with less than 5 minutes left is definitely how you get back into a match. And yeah, I mean, look, again, I always go from the position of I'm just a silly caster. What do I know? So and yeah, they got back the Desert Altar that has been plaguing them since we've came back into this match, and this is the side where, of course, WOD4 has a couple of those players that have been harassing the 908K players, and they've been finally able to get back that home Desert Altar. Now they need to hold on to that thing for dear life. And yeah, this thing is taking quite the turn with the arc cashing in 572 points per minute for 908K to 330 points per minute for WOD4, with about a 1.9K difference in score, and that can easily be made up with some provisions, and obviously ticking down the last couple minutes of
I think they might be able to come back into this one with the extra points from the no mark. I still feel like the safer play, like we said earlier, would have been to go for another arc. As we see, they are quite dominant in the field where they focus on a certain spot. I feel like that would have almost been a guaranteed path to victory for them. But they might still be able to pull it off here with the extra points from no mark that have now fallen off. They're not getting any extra points from no mark anymore, but they did make up a big lead. Or well, now they're actually in the lead by 200 points. Maybe they cashed in some provisioners. Ooh, this is a close game, Dan. They're up almost 1,000 points now. The points are going up.
Yeah,
more and more.
Provisioners starting to come in. WOD now starting to wonder to themselves if their Osiris League hopes are slipping out of their fingers. They're desperately trying to get back their home Desert Altar. I do see a little bit of flashing here too on their home Sky Altar on the on the top. To the Death being cast on this bottom side Murder Ball, trying to get their Desert Altar back. They are able to flip the home Sky Altar of 908K. So a little bit of negating some points there, although they're not going to be generating for themselves.
WOD4 also did capture back their home altar, so they disrupted over there. Now the points per minute is 520 still to the side of 908K to 379 for the side of WOD4, and they have a 2,000 nearly point lead. However, WOD4 did take the 5th Anubis, giving them 15% more team points for the next 240 seconds, and they gain 20% march speed for 300 seconds. And also all battlefield skill cooldowns are reduced by 600 seconds, and they gain 2 energy points. So they might have some points to play with here now, and they're gonna gain more points per minute. This is still a very close game, but it does look like it's in the favor of 908K. Now, what a crazy game, and what a crazy comeback here by 908K if they end up pulling this off.
Would WDO4 then be able to time warp into no mark for these last couple minutes, I believe? They should be accessible to them, right?
It reduces the cooldown by 10 minutes. I don't think they'll have another time warp.
Oh, okay, yeah, the time warp, yeah, it's too long. It's too long of a cooldown. That's right. That's a one-time
Unless they used
thing.
it very early on in the game.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, but I doubt. Yeah, I'm not sure if they have anything. It's now a 600-point game. The points per minute is still in favor of 908K. What a crazy game, Dan. Before we started watching the game, 908K was solidly in the lead by about, I think, 19K to 10K points when I had a look. And then all of a sudden, WOD4, I think, made the arc play when we weren't watching, and then sort of came back into the game and gained a big lead through structures and through having a massive whale on the enemy obelisk. And now the game is basically even. 908K managed to get back into the lead, but this is still anyone's game with just about 50-point difference right now. This is a very close game.
These last couple minutes now coming down to, you want to just hold on to your structures, because once you get into that last minute, you lose structure, you're going to lose out on those points.
Oh, they got the altar. They got the altar off 908K. They got the desert altar. That's big. That's very big in this last couple minutes here. That's big disruption. They have now 2 altars under their own control, gaining points, whereas the side of 908K only has 1 gaining points. Oh, yeah, this is such a close game. And they also have 644 points per minute now to the side of 908K with 360 because of the Anubis that we were talking about earlier. The side of WOD4 have grabbed 5 Anubises this game. 908K has had 0. The extra points per minute from the Anubis, the newly added objective to the game, might just end up being the difference maker in this match here, in the semifinal.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's almost, I mean, I think like first Anubis spawns like 12 minutes into the match, and then you have 3 in total That's 3 slots that you're getting 15% extra points. It's something not to be slept on. I mean, it's something that I think we overlooked a little bit too in this season. And like I said, there's going to be more and more teams that are going to start to take a little bit more importance onto these Anubises. They are very, very powerful if you can utilize them the right way. Just under 30, just about 20 seconds remaining. 552 points for WD04. 100-point gap.
It's so close. It's so close.
Provisioners look like they have come in. Oh my god, less than 100 points.
Oh!
And
They got it!
WOD4.
They did it! They pulled it off!
Wow.
GG's. What a game.
GG's WD04. Wow, that is crazy. What a back and forth in those last like 30 minutes or so that we just popped into the match on. So just real quick, we'll obviously start wrapping it up here. I know we have a couple of another slate of matches to get into, but do you go for that third arc? Do you think that third arc wins them?
I do. I think they almost won the game by what they did, but I feel like when they put their field in a certain position, they had the upper hand over WOD4. So I do feel like the safer play for them was going for the last arc, but they opted out of it, and that's fair. And they tried winning through buildings, and they almost had it. It was so close. I mean, what, just about 100 points? Oh, what a close game. That is a tough way to go out. That is a very tough way to go out. But
100%.
GG's to both teams, and always love an underdog story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, those Anubises definitely played a role in this match here. GG's to WD04, 908K going home. We're going to wrap this one up here. We'll be back at 15 UTC. Cortex is going to be jumping on with Brian. Which match are you guys casting next, Cortex? I apologize.
We are doing... Give me a second. We are doing the 2359 versus 3672. That was the kingdom.
Okay, that should be a pretty...
2359 versus 3672. And you're doing the OWR versus W257, right?
Yes, yeah. So we'll be back for the 15 UTC slot of matches. Chat, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. And Cortex, Brian, and I, and all the official casters, links to our channels are in the description below. And we will catch you guys on the next one later. Peace.
Peace out.